Hello everybody. Today we are going to analyze a data set about the vehicle recalls made in USA, and this data set has date field, this NHTSA ID, this is the unique identifier. Then we have manufacturer information, subject of the recall, and the component which had problems. Then we have recall type, potentially affected consumers, recall description, and consequences summary. So in this data set, this recall link is of no use, and also this manufacturer campaign number, we won't be using it in the analysis, although the recall description field and consequence summary can be very good field for textual analysis, but we are not going to do that. So we are also going to remove it from the final data set. So for that, first of all, let us go and import the data set inside Excel. So first of all, we are going to open Excel. Then we will open a blank workbook. We'll come to data, and this is a CSV data, so we'll go to text and CSV and then locate our data set. This will load our data to the Power Query editor. Here we can load the data to the model, or we can transform the data. So we are going to transform the data first. In transformation, see, our data is loaded to Power Query editor, and first thing that we're gonna handle is the date field. Here the date field is showing as text, and we know it is not text, we want it to be in date field. So we will click here and we'll go to using locale. A dialog box will open. Here data type, this is the targeted data type that we want, so we want date and locale. So different parts of the world has different date format, so we don't want the Indian format date, we want the US format date, because the data set is for United States. So we will select English American and click on OK. Now we don't want this recall link and the manufacturer campaign number, also recall description, consequences and corrective action we don't want. So we will highlight all those columns and click on remove column. This one is removed. Now we'll highlight the date column and go to add column, come to date, and we will first of all extract year. Again we are going to highlight the date column. This time we are going to extract month number, and at last we are going to extract month name. Done. Now month name, we don't want the full month name, we want only 3-letter abbreviation. So we will highlight this column, and since we want to transform the existing column, so we will first go to transform, then extract, and we will select first character. How many character we want? 3, and click on OK. This is done. Now in the date column we can see the data is starting from 1966 and ending in 2023. We don't want all this data, we want data from 70. So we will unselect all those years, and also we will remove the 23 because the year 23 doesn't have complete data. So we will remove that. Okay. Our transformation is complete. Now we will come to home, close and load to We want to load it in the existing worksheet, and we want to add the data to model. Click OK. This will load our data to the data model, and also we will get a data table here. So here is our data table. Now for the analysis purpose, we are going to insert a pivot table, and the pivot table we want in a new worksheet. So we'll click OK, and the first thing that we want is year to the rows and NHTSA ID, count of NHTSA ID to get a recall numbers for each year. Now we will insert another pivot table, and this pivot table will have our year and potentially affected. So this potentially affected will be a sum of all the consumers that were affected. Now we will insert one more pivot table, and this will be manufacturers count of recall, and here we want only top 10. So we will come to value filter and click on top 10. OK. We will also sort it by smallest to largest. Another pivot table we will create, and in this will be our manufacturer wise affected people, and this will also be a top 10 value, and we will sort it by smallest to largest. And the last pivot table that we are going to create is for the recall type and number of recalls. Okay, so these are all the. One more thing, let's see. We'll insert one more pivot table, and this will be our component and number of recalls, and this too we want a top 10, and sort the value from smallest to largest. Now these are all the analysis that we wanted to do. So let us go and insert our charts. So for this we will insert a line chart because we are going to show a trend. We will right click and hide all field buttons. We don't want legend, we don't want grid lines. Chart title will be yearly recall trend. We'll create one more sheet and we'll name it dashboard. We'll paste the chart here. Now we will again insert a chart line chart will be inserted, and same formatting will be done to it also. No grid line, no legend. This will be potentially affected consumers trend. We will cut this chart as well and paste it here. Now we will come to this field, this pivot table, and we are going to insert a bar chart. Hide all field button, no grid, no legend. We'll cut and paste it here. In this chart also we will insert a bar chart, and we'll cut this chart as well and bring it here. Now this, is it a top 10? So this is not representing, this is representing count, so we will insert a column chart this time. No grid line, no legend, and data labels, and this data label will be removed. We will cut this chart as well and paste it here. And the last, this pivot table will be visualized by a pie chart. Okay. Here we want the legend, and the legend should be at the bottom. Yes. So we want to turn this around and we will come to data label. We want the data label, and here we will make it data call out. This chart is recall type. We'll cut this chart as well and paste it here. So all our charts are made, and now we will organize it into a dashboard. Now that we have populated our dashboard and organized it to our liking, we will go and insert the slicer. So first of all, I would like to discuss few things. We combined the two charts into a combo chart, and there are few formatting that still needs to be done, and that is C. These data labels are coming as 1530. So instead of being this number, I want to show them in thousands. And one of the best practices for dashboard is to not display long numbers, instead display them into multiples of thousand, millions, just like here. So for that we have to click on this to highlight. Then we will come to this. Here in the number we will select number, and here format code we will write 0.01 comma space this backslash and K. We'll click on add. See, we made it. Similar thing we want to do with this number as well. Done. All the formatting is done. Now we are going to insert our slicer. For that we will go to our pivot sheet, insert slicer, and the slicer will be our month name. Okay, so the slicer is created. Now see, we are having sorting alphabetically. We don't want it this way. For that we will have to go to Power Pivot, manage. We will highlight the month name column, sort column by, and here we will select month number and OK. This is done. We will close it and see. Now we will cut it from here and paste it on our dashboard. So here we have pasted it. Now we will format this a little bit. We will duplicate this and select whole slicer, format. We will reduce the font size to 8 and make it bold. Okay, okay. This came. Now we will come to here column and make it 12, because we want this slicer horizontally, and we will increase its size. See, we will leave the slicer here for now. We will first insert a text box. Here we will write the title, in caps. Increase the size to 20 and change the font to this one, and color will be this color. We'll come to shape, and shape will be no color. Also we will increase the weight of the line. We'll go to home and we will align it to the center. Now we will go to insert. We'll insert a picture. I have already downloaded it. Resize the picture and we will place it here. Done. We will reduce the size a little bit and also the size of the picture. Now we will bring our slicer to the top and we will put our slicer here, and we will right click on it, we will bring it to front. Bring forward, bring to front. Instead, we are going to move it inside the box itself. Done. And now we will come to view. We don't want headings, no grid line, and now we need to shrink the charts little bit more. And we also want to collapse it, so we don't need to shrink the chart anymore. We will bring the charts below and also we will bring the slicers down, and this text box will go up. Done. Now we will go to our pivot, and power pivot will create two measures in the recalls table. The first will be count recall count, and this will be a count of NHTSA ID number, whole number. Okay, created. Here we will insert a pivot table, and in that pivot table we are going to bring this in the values. So this is the total number of recalls, and again we will insert, first of all we will create one more measure, and this will be potentially affected customers, and this will be a sum of affected column, number type, whole number, again we will insert a pivot table, and in this pivot table we will drag this to values. So we will bring these two to our dashboard as our KPI. For that, first of all we will insert two boxes. So box 1, and we will keep the fill and then press equal to and this number. So this is not coming. For that we have to come here and click on the cell just below it, equal to and click on this. Same way here, and we will take these numbers. So here equal to sheet for this number, and we will call it total recalls. We'll go to home, increase the size to 14, make it bold and center aligned. We'll go to the box and the fill will be white, and we have to increase this size a little bit. Now we will duplicate it. And this time it will be this number, and it will be called potentially affected. Size is 14, bold, this color. Now we will go to view, remove the formula bar, and we will adjust all our charts a little bit below, and this number will go to home, more, custom, and here we will type 0.0 double commas M. And for this same thing, custom 0.0 single comma and a K. Done. Now let's increase this a bit more. Okay. Now let's see if it is working or not. So if we filter for Jan, this chart will not be filtered since it is a yearly trend chart. We don't want to filter this. Rest 4 will be filtered, and this data will not be filtered because they are for the whole time period. So if you go to January, charts are updating. Let's go to June or September or December. Okay, they are updating. And if you want to remove the filter, we'll come to this cross and click on it. So this is the dashboard that we have created, and from this dashboard we can see that the trend is an upward trend for recalls and affected customers, and the 4 recall types are: first, 86% are vehicle recall. That means the complete vehicle was recalled from the market, and followed by that was equipments. The equipment was recalled, and the least amount was for child seat, which is a good thing, but still, since these are critical for child safety, these are still important numbers. In this chart we are showing manufacturers who had the most recall, and here General Motors, Ford and Chrysler, all 3 automobiles had the most number of recalls, and here we are showing the most customer affected by which companies. They were General Motors, Takata and Toyota Motor Engineering. This Takata is a very famous case, and they are the makers of airbags, and some time back it was happening with their airbags that they were being triggered on their own, or in case of an emergency they were not being triggered at all. And then at last we have this chart where we have which equipment were the cause for most recalls, and the most number were for equipments, then electrical system, steering and suspension. So this is our complete dashboard. Thank you for watching.